Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, star maker to entrepreneurs who want to find their authentic voice and command any stage. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. You're in for high value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. And I am thrilled to have my special guest here today, Nancy Martin. Nancy Martin is the author of Dance Your Way to an Empowered Self, 4 Elements to Achieve Shining Confidence. Nancy learned that fighting physical, mental, and sexual abuse towards women can be done with lightness and care, not resentment and anger. She's developed her own voice and confidence, and her mission now is to take her personal learning and spread it to as many girls and women as possible. Nancy has been featured on television and is an avid speaker and now graces our stage. Welcome, Nancy. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about your book about dancing your way to more confidence. I'm a singer, so I'm all about using the arts, but how does dancing really play into it?
Right. So I learned that when I was very young, that in the dance studio and on the dance floor, for me, was the one place where I felt totally in control. The rest of my life, I didn't feel confident, I didn't feel in control, I didn't feel like I had any choices. But there, by changing my music, by changing my choreography, I could transform into whoever I wanted to be. It was so empowering, and that's why I just loved being there so much. Fast forward to now going through coach training to be a life coach. I've gone through the Newfield School, the Newfield Network, and they teach coach training the ontological way.
What does that mean?
So it means that it encompasses the whole being. And so for them, they talk about the 3 parts. And one is your words, your communication. So that means defining words in the way that you use them to others or to yourself. And sometimes how redefining words can change your outcomes. The second is moods and emotions. So how the feelings that you're feeling can alter your choice of words and vice versa. And then there's the body. And so we all know that when we get stressed, people say, well, just take a deep breath. And that's just one sign of how our bodies can drastically change our moods and therefore the way that we communicate, the way that we make decisions, the way we talk to ourselves. And so we combine all 3 of those things to make the whole being.
Wow. It sounds like functional medicine for the soul.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. And so when I went through this training and we did a lot of somatics, which is working with the body and how the body does these things, the light bulb went off that's my dance training combined with this was my calling.
I love that. Have you, there was a coach a long time ago, I think it was Andrea Lee, and she talked about your Reese's moment. Remember that old commercial in the 70s where the guy's walking with the peanut butter and the girls walking with the chocolate and they bump and they
yes.
This is your Reese's moment.
Right.
And I did the same thing. I was a singer, an opera singer for a long time, and then I transitioned into entrepreneurship, and I was like, at the beginning people said, you don't need that. You just toss that out. And I was like, but I spent a lot of money and time and energy doing that. It must be useful.
Right.
And now combining it with speaker training and branding because of the performance. And as a performer, I totally get what you're saying. You have to embody. That's where the word comes from.
That's right.
Embody the confidence.
Yes.
So who are your clients? Who do you work with to help them get that release?
Right. So one aspect of my clientele is that I work with dance studios.
Okay.
And so I can go in, because back when I was teaching and managing dance studios, I was able to help take one of the dance studios that I was working for from 1 to 5 locations in 4 years. And so I know the business end of that. I was very fortunate to have the owner that really had us in on all of it and help her make decisions on all of those things. So I learned a whole ton about how to make a dance studio successful.
And not the dance mom version, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
We won't go there.
So now what I do is I go in as a full consultant, anything from the business end to helping to pull more out of the students if they're struggling with getting the right type of choreography or anything with the students, or even with if they're having, parent problems, I can go in and help change that culture too.
Yeah, and you, from your book and from this, heard you speak recently, you have your own story about that and how you really have transitioned in your life to become a confident woman. And I said in the intro about addressing those more serious issues with lightness and care. So can you speak a little bit more to that?
Sure. So just technically what I do now is, because I speak the language of the dancer, that's why I chose to go through dance studios first with this. Because we do feel that confidence on the stage, but don't know how to pull it into our everyday lives. That's what I do with the girls.
Oh, wow.
Right, so I go in showing them how they can have better stage presence and tap into their emotions and become the it girl on stage, but also through the training, show them how they can pull it out into their real life also. So they don't leave it on the stage, they bring it into their real lives also. So for myself, yes, I unfortunately have had a history from being a very small child, having sexual abuse from a family member at a very small child, and then from there it just spiraled, between physical, emotional, and sexual abuse from various relationships growing up. And with all of this, working on myself, I feel like, although I had this really low confidence and felt like I wasn't worthy, occasionally, every once in a while, there was this little voice that said, no, there's more.
I just got goosebumps.
No, there's more.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I would listen to it. And there would be a lesson to be learned, and then I would take that step up. And then life would go on this level, and then I would try, and I would, wherever I was at this level, and then every once in a while, usually in the silence, usually for me around nature, and especially waterfalls. I learned a lot from waterfalls. And, that little bug will teach me a lesson, and then I'll move a step up. And so I've been inching my way up. And the strongest lesson that I've learned through all of this is that all of the changes are within myself. So resentment towards those that hurt me, resentment towards the culture that fostered that idea that that's acceptable, doesn't help me lead the rest of my life where I want to. Enjoy and lightness and happiness and dancing and celebrating.
Right.
So if I'm changing myself in a mood of resentment, that's the mood that's going to follow me through the rest of my life. But if I change myself through empowering myself and falling in love with myself, with the goal of living in happiness and joy and lightness, then that's the mood that my future will hold.
Yeah, and I love it because your body, our bodies, carry the emotion.
Yes.
Like if someone says something mean to you, you physically feel it.
Yes. Yes.
So I love the idea that the dance helps, release and empower.
That's exactly it.
I love that.
And it doesn't mean not acknowledging, and it doesn't mean that there isn't work to be done.
Right.
Visiting those moments and finding forgiveness, and it doesn't mean that there's not hard times in going through these changes, but what it means is the overall mood, right? The overall goal is to keep the focus on yourself and bring yourself up.
I love that. So that's sort of from the perspective of an adult.
Yes.
Of having some
sure.
history, some distance from the things that are happening. But what about girls? I have 3 girls. And one of the things that you said in your talk that really resonated with me was being empowered to be able to say no.
Yes.
And it's something I'm always trying to teach my girls, to have their own voice. If they get nervous, they might want me to order something for them. And I'm always saying, you order. Use your voice.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about how this helps girls now.
So for me, that's where the physical part seems to be easiest for them to find this. Because we live in our heads so much, and especially at that age. I could totally remember being at those ages of feeling, again, no confidence and just embarrassment to me, growing up, embarrassment was the worst possible emotion I could feel. I could handle rage, I could handle sadness, but embarrassment to me was the worst. I hated that feeling, right? And so I would avoid it at all costs, which is why I wouldn't call to make an order or whatever it was, right? So when you're in your head and you're in that emotion and it's that spiral and it's going, sometimes learning the different tips on how to shift your body can help take care of that.
So what's one body tip that, because a lot of people who are going to see this have kids.
Sure.
So what's, in boys too, right? It's not just for girls.
Absolutely. Because I also feel, in this culture, I also feel that it is the boys and the men with the low self-esteem themselves are the ones that feel they have to prove something. They feel that because our culture, yes, it says that women are, weaker than men, it can, or things like that. But then what that does is it puts the pressure on the man to be the strong one. And then when he doesn't feel like that, he's looking for an outward proof.
Right.
No, I am the strong one. Look, I could do this.
Yes.
So it's absolute. I am all about just empowering all of us. I feel if we all can feel comfortable enough to be our authentic selves, everything would be different.
And also little boys too, like
absolutely,
they're vulnerable as well. So
absolutely.
So what are some simple things that parents can teach their kids about having a strong, empowered body and being able to say no when it's appropriate?
Right. Well, do you mind if we do a little exercise?
No, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
We can do it sitting.
Okay.
So if we take our posture up and we breathe fully into our belly, and we bring our chin up just a little bit above where you normally would. Pretend you're taking a selfie. So just
that won't be hard,
right? Just a little bit above where it would be, right? And if we bring our shoulders up and even our arms up and bring all of our focus all the way up and breathe in the air from up there and even give yourself a smile which happened naturally for you, notice.
Yeah.
And from here, just talk about your day like, I'm having a wonderful day.
Martin's on my show, it couldn't be better.
Yes. And then let's bring it down and we're going to roll our shoulders forward and bring our chin down. And now, talk about your wonderful day.
Not as wonderful, is it, down here? Had a great day. Sun is shining, good weather in Boston, nice interviews I'm having, had good coffee this morning.
Are you convincing yourself of these things to say right now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So come on, shake it off. So notice how, for some people, when I do this in my workshops, they physically can't. I'll give them a phrase. I'll say, I am awesome.
Yeah.
I am beautiful. Whatever it is, they physically can't let the words come. Their bodies won't let them.
That was really powerful because I felt like I could say it, but I wasn't excited.
You weren't feeling it.
No.
Right.
No.
Right. And so just that, and as we practice the extended versions of these postures, we can learn subtle ways to implement them in our everyday lives so that we're not asking our kids to walk around in school like this before a test so that they could feel great. It can be as subtle as the shoulders or the chin or where you're breathing.
Yeah. It's so amazing because you think it's kind of silly.
Right.
But your body knows things that your intellectual brain doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what do you think that most women struggle with in their adult life to stay empowered?
Yeah. I wonder if I have a feeling that statistically so many of us have, statistically I think all of us have encountered some type of sexual discrimination in some way. Even just being a victim of misogyny in a conversation or being hit on in a really inappropriate way. I think we all have felt what that's like. And so it's that feeling that's how the culture looks at us, makes it hard for us to break out of it and day out of it because there's so many reminders.
I was just going to say that I was in the elevator like 2 days ago, and I was writing down, I was in a hotel and I was writing down, and it was a mix of men and women. And it was, just light talk. And one of the women got out of the elevator and somebody else said something sort of not quite appropriate. And it wasn't directed at me, it was directed at her, but I still was like,
exactly.
I need to go take a shower after that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that's what it is. Like, we fight so hard and then we're reminded. And for some of us, depending on what your history is and what it is that triggers you, can trigger you, depending on what it is, a little deeper than others.
So when you're triggered, not like I'm growing myself and I'm having a practice of this, but when you're triggered, what is the best thing to do?
Well, you touched on it, where the most important part is to make a regular practice of these things. Because when you make it a regular practice, then it'll be easier to tap into when you need it. So if you wait for the moment that you need it and your body isn't used to going there, that's the last time it's going to go there.
Yeah.
So it really is about practice. So for me, when I'm trying to practice a new personality or a new mood, or I play around with these things, I actually set a reminder on my phone for 3 times a day.
Oh, wow.
For random times throughout the day, like not 10 o'clock, it'll be like 10:27 or whatever it is. And when it goes off, no matter where I am, what I'm doing, I'll take a breath and I'll embody whatever the mood is that I'm working on currently. And so after doing that, it's amazing how quickly it works too. So the first time that I bring on a new mood, it may take me a full minute to practice. So I'll do it first thing in the morning or whatever it is. But I'll do it over and over again and I'll think about it when I'm doing it, when might I use this? What is the trigger that that I would need that this would come in handy for? And keep doing that, so that when the trigger happens, you have that anchor of that memory of, oh, this type of trigger, I can do this to combat it.
I like that. It's very intentional.
Yes.
Very intentional.
But it is about the practice. It's about the practice building up.
Yeah, I love that.
So that you can use it.
I love that. And that kind of circles back to what you were saying before, is with that little voice, you took it to the next level, little voice, and it's a practice and building that muscle.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is that little voice telling you now? What's the next level for you?
So the next level for me is that breakout, is that finding that way to reach as many women and girls as possible with this message, because I do feel it's a calling. I've been sitting on it for 7 years now, since I graduated my coach training. And I had other little voices telling me other things.
Yes, those little voices.
And so now I feel like this really, really, really is the time. Not in a political way, but just to say, these past couple years, a lot of things have bubbled to the surface. A lot of triggering comments and a lot of showing how parts of society are in a place that for some of us, we denied they still were.
Absolutely.
And so now that all that is bubbling to the surface, that was my sign that I can't anymore. I'm not allowed to not share this message anymore.
Yeah, I love that. I love in divine timing.
Yes.
Divine timing.
Yes.
I just posted something the other day. I said, don't rush the masterpiece.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's timing for everything. And if you are listening, or at least trying to listen to that voice, I believe, things will unfold as they should.
Yes. And I do. And I feel like now is definitely the time. I think if I tried to do it back then 7 years ago, I wouldn't be nearly as prepared for it and effective. But I'm at a point in my life, in my own personal life, I made such leaps and bounds over these past 2 years. And so everything's just kind of all in place now. Yeah, it's all in place and ready to go, right? So
awesome.
So now's the time. So that's my next level, is pushing it out to as many people as I can.
And this is part of that, right?
That is part of it.
This is the book. And how can people get this?
So this is on Amazon currently.
Okay.
And it will be out in paperback in about 2 months. But for now, it is on Amazon.
Cool.
Yeah.
And if people want to work with you, if there's dance studios watching this, or
Absolutely.
People who can use the coaching, how can they get in touch with you?
Yep. So you can just go to nancymartincoaching.com, and there is where you can connect with me to either work with your dance studios or to speak at your events, or even just one-on-one
to get your jam on.
Yeah, yeah.
Go dance
and let's
with Nancy.
dance. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you for sharing your story, because I heard you speak recently at Harvard, and it was really moving to me, and it connected with me as an artist, as someone who's also using artistry and creativity to bring real change into the world.
Yes.
And I really resonated with that and appreciate that you shared your story, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And I don't want to get choked up, but the girls, helping all the girls.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it, and I love what you're doing.
Awesome. One last question. What does it mean to you to thrive?
Oh, for me it is. For me, I thrive when I dance. I absolutely do. I put on a great piece of music, and when I am dancing, that's when I feel like I could conquer the world.
Awesome.
And so that's what it feels like to me, is not feeling held back by anything else. Just trusting yourself and going out there.
Awesome. And you are conquering the world with your message. So
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, as always, for joining us. And until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.